Hello and welcome to another second book. Well, basically, it's the second part of a second book. So if you get confused, just go to the first part and then come back to this, or don't, depending on. Anyway, this is our second look of Magnificence, part two, and we're going from a break in the text where we deemed it to have a good. Well, basically, there was a break in the text so that we could breathe. And not sit here for 4 hours, unless you enjoy that kind of thing. And I am going, as you can tell, I'm not Robert Crighton. He's much more eloquent and good looking, and I'm here to host this thing. So this is nothing to say. Anyway, so without further ado, I will introduce our readers. Reading Fancy and Despair, we have.
Hello, my name is Lynn. I'm a college composition teacher. I'm coming to you from the Northwestern United States.
Reading Magnificence, the title character, we have.
Aliki Chapple, actor and translator in Excuse Me, Lancashire.
Was that you checking the map or just like... I don't know, GPS.
That was my alarm that said, if this alarm rings, you are really late for your Beyond Shakespeare session.
Yeah, I have those. They don't go off. Reading Felicity, Collusion, Folly, Poverty, and Good Hope
is versatile Lois here in London.
Hopefully you have enough hats. Reading Measure, Conveyance, Adversity, Mischief, and Circumspection, we have
Alan in Suffolk, who is without hats.
Mm-hmm. And reading, of course, last but not least, Liberty, Countenance, Abusion, Redress, and Perseverance, or Perseverance, depending on stanchion and other things.
Hi, I'm Greg. I'm in Wokingham. And I'm going for the Ministry of Silly Voices rather than Silly Hats.
That works. And I'm your sort of host, Eric Karoulla, and we will pick up from basically Folly and Fancy have just exited, and Crafty Conveyance is left alone in the place.
It is wonder to see the world about, to see what folly is used in every place. Folly hath a room, I say, in every route, to put where he list. Folly hath free chase. Folly and Fancy all wear, every man doth face and brace. Folly put it in properly, Fancy leadeth the dance. And next come I after, Crafty Conveyance. Whoso to me giveth good advertence, shall see many things done craftily. By me conveyed is wanton insolence, privy appointments conveyed so properly. For many times much kindness is denied, for dread that we dare not off lest we be spied. By me is conveyed mickle pretty wear, some time I say behind the door for need. I have an hobby can make larks to dare, I knit together many a broken thread. It is great arms the hungry to feed, to clothe the naked where is lacking a smock, trim at a tail ere a man can turn a sock. What oh, be merry, is it not well conveyed? As oft ye list, so honesty be saved. Alas, dear heart, look that we be not perceived. Without craft, nothing is well behaved. Though I show you courtesy, say not that I crave, yet convey it craftily, and hardly spare not for me, so that there know no man but I and she. Theft also and petty bribery, without me be full oft espied. My inwit dealing there can no man descry. Convey by craft, lift and lay aside, full flattery and falsehood I hide. And by crafty conveyance I will, and I can, save a strong thief and hang a true man, that some men would convey, and cannot skill, as malapert taverners that check with their betters. Their conveyance welteth all work by their will. Some will take upon them to counterfeit letters, and there will withal convey himself into a pair of fetters. and some will convey by the pretence of sadness, till all their conveyance is turned into madness. Crafty conveyance is no child's game. By crafty conveyance, many one is brought up of naught. Crafty conveyance can cloak himself from shame, but by crafty conveyance, wonderful things are wrought. By conveyance crafty I have brought unto magnificence a full, ungracious sort, for all hooks unhappy to me have resort.
Trust me, Liberty, it grieveth me right sore to see you thus ruled, and stand in such awe.
Sir, as by my will it shall be so no more.
Yet liberty without rule is not worth a straw.
Gosh, hold your peace. You speak like a daw. You shall be occupied, wealth, at my will.
All that ye say, sir, is reason and skill.
Master Surveyor, where have you been so long? Remember ye not how my liberty by measure ruled was?
In good faith, sir, me seemeth he had them all wrong.
Marry, sir, so did he exceed and pass. They drove me to learning like a dull ass.
It is good yet that liberty be ruled by reason.
Gosh, hold your peace. You speak out of season. Yourself shall be ruled by liberty and largesse.
I'm content, so it in measure be.
Must measure in the mare's name you furnish and dress.
Nay, nay, not so, my friend Felicity.
Not, and your grace will be ruled by me.
Nay, he shall be ruled even as I list.
Yet it is good to beware of, had I wist.
Sir, by liberty and largesse I will that ye shall be governed and guided. What I say? Master Surveyor, largesse to me call?
It shall be done.
Yea, but bid him come away at once. Let him not tarry all day.
Yet it is good wisdom to work wisely by wealth.
Hold thy tongue, and thou love thy health.
What will you waste wind and prate thus in vain? Have eaten sauce, I trow, at the tailor's hall.
Be not too bold, my friend. I counsel you bear a brain.
And whatso we say, hold you content withal.
Sir, yet without sapience your substance may be small, for where is no measure, how may worship endure?
Sir, I am here at your pleasure. Your grace sent for me, I ween. What is your will?
Come hither, largesse. Take here Felicity.
Well, I ween you that I can keep him long still.
To rule as ye list. Lo, here is liberty.
I'm here ready.
What shall we have wealth at our guiding to rule as we list? Then farewell thrift by him that cross-kissed.
I trust your grace will be agreeable that I shall suffer none impeachment by their demeanance, nor loss reprovable.
Sir, you shall follow mine appetite and intent.
So it be by measure, I am right well content.
What, all by measure, good sir, and none excess?
Why, wealth have made many a man brainless.
That was by the means of too much liberty.
What can ye agree thus and oppose?
Sir, as I say, there was no fault in me.
Yea, of Jack of Thrum's Bible can you make a gloss?
Sore said I tell you, and well to the purpose. What should a man do with you? Lock you under key?
I say it is folly to give all wealth away.
Whether should wealth be ruled by liberty or liberty by wealth? Let's see. Tell me that.
Sir, as me seemeth, ye should be ruled by me.
What need you with him thus prate and chat?
Show us your mind, then, how to do and what.
I say that I will ye have him in guiding.
Master Felicity, let your chiding, and so, as ye see it, will know better. Take it in worth such as you find.
What the devil, man? Your name shall be the greater, for wealth without largesse is all out of kind.
And wealth is not worth if liberty be behind.
Now hold ye content, for there is none other shift.
Then waste must be welcome, and farewell thrift.
Take of his substance a sure inventory, and get thou home together, for liberty shall bide and wait upon me.
And yet for a memory make indentures how ye and I shall guide.
Now I can do nothing but he stand beside.
Sir, we can do nothing the one without the other.
Get you hence then, and send me some other.
Whom? Lusty pleasure or merry conceit?
Nay, first lusty pleasure is my desire to have, and let the another await. Howbeit that fond fellow is a merry knave. But look that ye occupy the authority that I you gave. For now, sirs, I am like as a prince should be. I have wealth at will, largesse and liberty. Fortune to her laws cannot abandon me, but I shall of fortune rule the reign. I fear nothing fortune's perplexity. All honor to me must needs stoop and lean. I sing of two parts without a mean. I have wind and weather over all to sail. No stormy rage against me can prevail. Alexander of Macedonia king, that all the Orient had in subjection, though all his conquests were brought to reckoning, might seem right well under my protection to reign for all his martial affection. For I am Prince Peerless, proud of port, bathed with bliss, embraced with comfort. Cyrus, that solemn sire of Babylon, that Israel released of their captivity for all his pomp, his royal throne, he may not be compared unto me. I am the diamond, doubtless, of dignity. Surely it is I that all may save and spill. No man so hardy to work against my will. Or Senna, the proud provost of Turkey land, that rated the Romans and made the mill rest, nor Caesar July, that no man might withstand, were never half so richly as I am dressed. Not that, I assure you, look who was the best. I reign in my robes. I rule as me list. I drive down these dastards with a dint of my fist. Of Cato the Count, accounted the Khan, Darius the doughty chieftain of Perse, I set not by the proudest of them a prawn, nay, by none other that any man can rehearse. I follow in felicity without reverse. I dread no danger, I dance all delight. My name is Magnificence, man of most might. Hercules, the hardy, with his stubborn clubbed mace that made Cerberus to couch, the cur-dog of hell, and Theseus, that proud was Pluto to face. It would not become them with me to mell. For of all barons bold, I bear the bell. Of all doughty, I am doughtiest duke, as I deem. To me all princes to lout may be seen. Charlemagne, that maintained the nobles of France, Arthur of Albion, for all his brim beard, nor Bassian the bold, for all his Brabants, nor Alaric, that ruled the Gothians by sword, nor no man on mould can make me afeard. One man is so mazed with me that dare meet, I shall flap him as a fool to fall at my feet. Galba, whom his gallants guard for to gasp for, nor Nero, that neither set by God nor man, nor Vespasian, that bore in his nose a wasp, nor Hannibal against Rome gates that ran, nor yet Scipio, that noble Carthage won, nor none so hardy of them with me that durst crake, but I shall frounce them on the foretop and gar them to quit.
Your commandment, sir, with all due reverence.
Welcome pleasure to our magnificence.
Please is it your grace to show what I do shall?
Let us hear of your pleasure to pass the time withal.
Sir, then, with the favour of your benign sufferance, to show you my mind, and myself I will advance, if it like your grace to take it in degree.
Yes, sir. So good a man in you I see, and in your dealing so good assurance that we delight greatly in your dalliance.
Sir, your grace me doth extol and raise, and far beyond my merits ye may me command and praise. Albeit I would be right glad you are sure anything to do that might be to your pleasure.
As I be saved, with pleasure I am surprised of your language. It is so well devised, polished, and fresh is your ornacy.
I would to God that I were half so crafty, or in elect utterance half so eloquent, as that I might your noble grace content.
Trust me, with you I'm highly pleased, for in my favour I have you thiefed and seized. He is not living your manners can amend. Marry, your speech is as pleasant as though it were penned. To hear you commune, it is my high comfort. Point device, all pleasure is your port.
Ah, sir, I am the better of your noble report, but of your patience under the support, if it would like you to hear my poor mind.
Speak, I beseech thee. Leave nothing behind.
So as ye be a prince of great minds, it is seeming your pleasure ye delight, and to acquaint you with carnal delectation, and to fall in acquaintance with every new fashion, and quickly our appetites to sharpen and address, to fasten your fancy upon a fair mistress, that quickly is envied with relies of the rose, importuned with features after your purpose, the strains of her veins as azure Indy blue, embedded with beauty and colour fresh of hue, as lily white to look upon her lid, her eyes reluctant as carbuncles clear, her mouth embalmed, delectable and merry, her lips, lusty lips, ready as the cherry. How like you? You lack, sir, such a lusty lass.
Were a baby to brace and to bass. Would I had by him that hell did harrow with me in keeping such a Philip Sparrow. I would hawk whilst my head did walk, so I might hobby for such a lusty lark. These words in my ear, they be so lustily spoken, that on such a female my flesh would be broken. They touch me so thoroughly, and tickle my conceit, that wearied I would be on such a bait. Cock's arms, where might such a one be found?
Will you spend any money?
Yea, £1,000.
Nay, nay, for less I want you to be sped and brought home and laid in your bed.
Would money, trowest thou, make such a one the call?
Oh, money maketh merchants, I tell you, over all.
Why, will a mistress be won for money and for gold?
Why, it was not for money Troy had bought and sold. For many a strong city and town have been won by the means of money without any gun. A mistress, I tell you, is but a small thing, a goodly ribbon or a gold ring. May win with a salute the fortress of the hold, but one thing I warn you, press forth and be bold.
Yea, but some be full coy and passing hard-hearted.
But blessed be our Lord, they will soon be converted.
Why, will they then be entreated? The most and the least?
If on this money I may yet tricks, they scariare protest.
I have spied you can much broken sorrow.
Oh, I could hold you with such talk hence till tomorrow. But if it like your grace, more at large, me to permit my mind to discharge, I would yet show you further of my conceit.
Let's see what ye say. Show it straight.
Ooh. Wisely let these words in your mind be weighed. By wayward wilfulness let each thing be conveyed. Whatsoever ye do, follow your now will. Be it reason or bondage or not greatly skill. Be it right or wrong, by the advice of me, take your pleasure and use free liberty. If you see anything against your mind, then some occasional quarrel ye must find, and frown it and face it as though ye would fight. Fret yourself for anger and for despite. Hear no man whatsoever they say, but do as ye list and take your own way.
My words and my mind oddly well accord.
What should ye do else? Are you not a lord? Let your lust and liking stand for a law. Be arresting and writhing in the way draw. And ye see a man that with him ye be not pleased, and that your mind cannot well be eased, and as if a man fortune to touch you on the quick, then feign yourself diseased and make yourself sick, To stir up your stomach you must bulge. Call for a cord and cast up your gorge. Recox arms! Rest shall I have none have, till I be revenged of that whoreson knave. Ah, my stomach wumbleth, I am all in a sweat. Is there no horse in the knave that will beat?
My cock's wounds, a wonder fellow thou art, for oft times such a wambling goeth over my heart. Yet I am not heartsick, but that me list for mirth I have him curried, beaten, and blissed. Him that I loved not and made him to lout, I am forthwith as whole as a trout. For such abusion I use now and then.
It is no abusion, sir. In a noble man, it is a princely pleasure in a lordly mind. Such lusts at large may not be left behind.
Again. All right. Stand still here, and ye shall see that for your sake I will fall on my knee.
Oh, sir, sober sadness cometh before it be.
Stand up, sir, you are welcome to me.
Please it your grace, at the contemplation of my poor insistence and supplication, tenderly to consider in your advertence of our blessed Lord, sir, at the reverence, remember the good service that measure hath you done, and that you will not cast him away so soon.
My friend, as touching to this your motion, I may say to you, I have but small devotion, howbeit, at your insistence, I will the rather do as much as for mine own father.
Oh, nay, sir, that affection ought to be reserved, for of your grace I have it not deserved. But if it like you that I might round in your ear to show you my mind, I would have the less fear.
Stand a little back, sir, and let him come hither.
With a good will, sir, God speed you both together.
Sir, so it is. This man is hereby, that for him to labour he hath prayed me heartily. Notwithstanding, to you be it said, to trust in me he is but deceived, for so help me God, for you he is not meet. I speak the softlier because he should not weet.
Come hither, pleasure, you shall hear mine intent. Measure, ye know well, with him I cannot be content. And surely, as I am now advised, I will have him reheated and despised. How say ye, sirs, herein what is best?
By mine advice with you, in faith ye shall not rest.
Yet, sir, reserved your better advisement, it were better he spake with you ere he went, that he know not but that I have supplied all that I can his matter to speed.
Now by your troth, gave he not you a bribe?
Yes, with his hand I made him to subscribe a bill of record for an annual rent.
But for all that he is like to have a glint.
By my troth, I shall warrant you from me, all he go to the devil, so that I may have my fee. What care I?
By the mass, well said.
What force ye, so that ye be paid?
But yet, lo, I would, ere that he went, lest that he thought his money were ill spent, that ye would look on him, though it were not long.
Well, canst thou help a priest to sing a song?
So it is all the manner nowadays, for to use such hafting and crafty ways.
He telleth you truth, sir, as you ensure, so as you ensure.
Well, for thy sake, the better I may endure that he come hither, and to give him a look that he shall like, the worse all this woke.
I care not how soon he be refused, so that I may craftily be excused.
Where is he?
Marry, I made him abide whilst I came to you a little here beside.
Well, call him and let us hear him reason, and we will be commuting in the min-season.
This is a wise man, sir. Where, sir, are ye mad?
An honest person, I tell you, and a sad.
He come full craftily this matter bring about.
Whilst I have him, I need nothing doubt.
By the mass, I have done what I can, and more than ever I did for any man. I trow you heard yourself what I said.
No, indeed, but I saw how ye prayed, and made instance for me by likelihood.
Nay, I tell you, I am not wont to fold them that dare put their trust in me, and thereof you shall a larger proof see.
Sir, God reward you as ye have deserved. But think you, with magnificence I shall be reserved?
By my troth, I cannot tell you that. But an as I were as ye, I would not set a gnat by magnificence, nor yet none of his. For go when ye shall, of you shall he miss.
Sir, as you say.
Nay, come on with me. Yet once again I shall fall on my knee for your sake, whatsoever befall. I set not a fly, and all go to all.
The Holy Ghost be with your grace.
Sir, I beseech you, let pity have some place in your breast towards this gentleman.
I was your good lord till ye began so masterfully upon you to take with my servants, and such masteries gan make that wholly my mind with you is miscontent. Wherefore I will that he be resident with me no longer.
Say somewhat now for yourself.
Sir, if I might permitted be, I would to you say a word or twain.
What wouldst thou, Lurden, with me brawl again? Have him hence, I say, out of my sight. That day I see him shall be worse all night.
Hence thou, Haynard, out of the doors fast.
Alas, my stomach fairer than it would cast.
Oh, abide, sir, abide. Let me hold your head.
A bowl or a basin, I say, for God's bread. Oh, my head. Where's the whoreson gone? God give him a mischief. Let me alone.
A good drift, sir, a pretty feat, by the good Lord. Yet your temples beat.
Nay, so God me help, it was no great vexation, for I am panged oft times of the same fashion.
Cock's arms, how pleasure plucked him forth.
Yea, walk he must, 'twas no better worth.
Sir, now methink your heart is well eased.
Now measure is gone, I am the better pleased.
So to be ruled by measure, it is a pain.
Marry, I ween he would not be glad to come again.
So I wot not what he should do here. Where men's bellies is measured, there is no cheer. For I hear but few men that give any praise unto measure. I say nowadays.
Measure? Tut! What the devil of hell! Scantly one with measure that will dwell.
Not upon noblemen, as the world goeth. It is no wonder, therefore, though ye be wroth with measure. Where all nobleness is, there I have passed. They catch that catch can. Keep and hold fast. Out of all measure themselves to enrich, no force what though his neighbor die in a ditch. With pulling and plucking out of all measure, thus must ye stuff and store your treasure.
Yet sometimes, pardie, I must use largesse.
Yea, marry, sometime in a mess of vergess, as in a trifle or a thing of naught, as giving a thing that you never bought. It is the guise now, I say, over all, largesse in words, for rewards are but small. To make fair promise, what are ye the worse? Let me have the rule of your purse.
I have taken it to largesse and liberty.
Then it is done as it should be. But use your largesse by the advice of me, and I shall warrant you wealth and liberty.
Say on, methink your reasons be profound.
Sir, of my counsel, this shall be the ground. To choose out 2, 3 of such as you love best, and let all your fancies upon them rest. Spare for no cost to give them pound and penny. Better to make 3 rich than for to make many. Give them more than enough, and let them not lack. And as for all other, let them truss and pack. Pluck from 100 and give it to 3. Let neither patent scape them, nor fee. And wheresoever you will fall to a reckoning, those 3 shall be ready, even at your beckoning. For them shall you have at liberty to lout. Let them have all, and the other go without. Thus joy without measure you shall have.
Thou sayest truth by the heart that God me gave, for, as thou sayest, right so it shall be. And here I make thee upon liberty to be supervisor, and on largesse also, for as thou wilt, so shall the game go, for in pleasure and surveillance, and also in thee, I have set my whole felicity, and such as you shall lack no promotion.
Ah, sir, sith that in me ye have such devotion, committing to me and to my fellows twain your wealth and felicity, I trust we shall obtain to do you service after your appetite.
In faith and your service right well I shall requite, and therefore hie you hence, and take this oversight.
Now, gees you preserve you, prince most of might.
Thus I say I am environed with solace. I dread no dints of fatal destiny. Well were that lady might stand in my grace, me to embrace and love most specially. Ah, Lord, I would halse her heartily. So I would clip her, so I would kiss her sweet.
Mary, Christ grant ye catch no cold on your feet.
Who is this?
Conceit, sir, your own man.
What tidings with you, sir? I befool thy brain pan.
Our Lakin, sir, I have been hawking for the wild swan. My hawk is Ramage, and it happed that she flew, I should say, into an old barn to reach at a rat. I could not her warn. She pinched her pinion, by God, and catched harm. It was a runner. Nay, fool, I warrant her blood warm.
Oh, sir, thy gerfalcon and thou be hanged together.
And, sir, as I was coming to you hither, I saw a fox stuck on a cow's udder, and with a lime rod I took them both together. I trow it be a frost, for the way is slidder. See, for God above, or for cold as I chatter.
Thy words hang together as feathers in the wind.
Ah, sir, told I not you how I did find a knave and a churl, and all of one kind? I saw a weathercock wag with the wind. A great marvel I had, and mused in my mind. The hounds ran before, and the hare behind. I saw a lousel lead a virgin, and they were both blind. I saw a souter go to supper ere he had dined.
Why, cogs art thou to find merry knave?
I make God avow, ye will none other men have.
What sayest thou?
Mary, I pray God your mastership to save. I shall give you a gaud of a gosling that I gave. The gander and the goose, both grazing on one grave. Then Roland the reeve ran, and I began to rave, and with a bristle of a boar, his beard I did shave.
If ever I heard such another, God give me shame.
Some sim saddled goose was my sire, and dorcock my dam. I could, an I list, give you laugh at a game, how a woodcock wrestled with a lark that was lame. The bittern said boldly that they were to blame. The fieldfare would have fiddled, and it would not frame. The crane and the curlew the rat gan to grame. The snipe snivelled in the snout, and smiled at the game.
Thoughts, bones, heard you ever such another?
See, sir, I beseech you, largesse, my brother.
What tidings with you, sir, that you look so sad?
When you know what I know, you will not be glad.
What, brother brainsick, how farest thou?
Yeah, let be thy japes, and tell me how the case requireth.
Alas, alas, and heavy meeting, I would tell you, and if I might, for weeping.
Oh, what, is all your mirth now turned to sorrow? Farewell till anon, adieu till tomorrow.
I pray thee, largesse, let be thy sobbing.
Alas, sir, ye are undone with stealing and robbing. Ye sent us a supervisor for to take heed of yourself, for now ye have need.
What, hath sadness beguiled me so?
Nay, madness hath you, and many mo, for liberty is gone, and also felicity.
Gone! Alas, ye have undone me.
Nay, he that sent us cloaked collusion, and your painted pleasure courtly abusion, and your demeanor with counterfeit countenance, and your surveyor crafty conveyance. ere ever we were aware, brought us in adversity, and have robbed you quite from all felicity.
Is this the largesse that I have used?
Nay, it was your fondness that you have used.
And is this the credence that I gave to the letter?
Why, could not your wit serve you no better?
Why, who would have thought in you such guile?
What? Yes, by the rood, sir. It was I all this while that you trusted, and Fancy is my name, and Folly my brother, that made you much game.
Alas, who is yonder that grimly looks?
Adieu, for I will not come in his cloaks.
Lord, so my flesh trembleth now for dread.
I am adversity that for thy misdeed from God am sent to quite thee thy meed. Vile Belliard, thou must now my dint withstand. Thou must abide by the dint of my hand. Lie there, Lossel, for all thy pomp and pride. Thy pleasure now with pain and trouble shall be tried. Stroke of God, adversity I hate. I pluck down king, prince, lord, and knight. I rush at them roughly, and make them lie full low, and in their most trust I make them overthrow. This lost was a lord, and lived at his lust, and now like a lurden he lieth in the dust. He knew not himself, his heart was so high. Now is there no man that will set by him a fly. Boast, brag, and to brace, dare he not for shame look one in the face? For worldly wealth for him was too little was. Now hath he right naught, naked as an ass. Sometime without measure he trusted in gold, now without measure he shall have hunger and cold. Lo, sirs, thus I handle them all that follow their fancies in folly to fall. Man or woman, or what estate they be, I counsel them beware of adversity. Sorrowful servants, I have many scores. I visit them sometimes with blains and with sores. With botches and carbuncles in care I them knit. The gout I make them to groan where they sit. Some I make lepers, lazzars full horse, and from that they love best, some I divorce. Some with the marmal to haunt I then make, and some to cry out of the bone ache. Some I visit with burning of fire, of some I wring the neck like a wire, and some I make in rope to totter and walter, some for to hang himself in a halter, and some I visit to battle, war, and murder, and make each man to slay other, to drown, to slay himself with a knife, and all is their ungracious life. Yet sometimes I strike where is none offence, because I would prove men of their patience. But nowadays, to strike I have great cause, thither on so little set by God's laws. Fathers and mothers that be negligent, and suffer their children to have their intent, to guide them virtuously, that will not remember them or their children oft times I dismember. Their children first, because they have no meekness, I visit their fathers and mothers with sickness, and if I see thereby they will not amend, then mischief suddenly I them send. There is nothing that more displeaseth God than from their children to spare the rod of correction, but let them have their will. Some I make lame, and some I do kill. Some I strike with a frenzy. Of some of their children I strike out the eye. And where the father by wisdom worshippeth one, I send oft times a fool to his son. Wherefore of adversity look ye beware, for when I cometh sorrow and care. For I strike lords of realms and lands, that rule not by measure that they have in their hands. Sadly rule not their household men. I am God's prepositor. I print them with a pen. Because of their negligence and their wanton vagues, I visit them and strike them with many sore plagues. Take, sirs, example of that I you tell. Beware of adversity by my counsel. Take heed of this caitiff that lieth here on ground. Behold, how fortune of him hath frowned. Though we show you this in game and play, yet it proveth earnest. You may see every day. For now will I from this caitiff go, take mischief and vengeance of other mo, that hath deserved it as well as he. Ho! Where art thou? Come hither, poverty. Take this caitiff to thy law.
My bones ache, my limbs be sore. Alas, I have the sciatica full evil in my hip. Alas, where is youth that was wont for to skip? I am lousy and unliking and full of scurf. My colour is tawny, coloured as turf. I am poverty, that all men do hate. I am baited with dogs at every man's gate. I am ragged and rent, as ye can see. Full few, but they have envy at me. Now must I this carcass lift up. He dined with delight, with poverty he must sup. Rise up, sir, and be welcome unto me.
With Magnificence, you're muted.
Muted. Alas, where is now my gold and fee? Alas, I say, whereto am I brought? Alas, alas, I die for thought.
Sir, all this would have been thought on before. He wotteth not what wealth is that never was sore.
Fie, fie, that ever I should be brought in this snare. I weened once never to have known care.
Lo, such is this world. I find it writ in wealth to beware, and that is wit.
In wealth to beware. If I had had grace, never had I been brought in this case.
Now, sith it will no other be, all that God sendeth, take it in gree. For though you were sometimes of noble estate, now must you learn to beg at every man's gate.
Alas, that ever I should be so shamed. Alas, that ever I Magnificence was named. Alas, that ever I was so hard happed in misery and wretchedness thus to be lapped. Alas, that I could not myself better guide. Alas, in my cradle that I had not died.
Yea, sir, yea. Leave all this rage and pray to God your sorrows to assuage. It is folly to grudge against his visitation. With heart contrite, make your supplication unto your Maker that made both you and me. And when it pleaseth God, better may be.
But that's what I should say.
Oh, remember you better, sir. Beware what you say, for dread you displease the high deity. Put your will in his will, for surely it is he that may restore you again to felicity, and bring you again out of adversity. Therefore, poverty, look patiently you take, and remember, he suffered much more for your sake. Howbeit of all sin he was innocent. And yet ye have deserved this punishment.
Alas, with cold my limbs shall be marred.
Yea, sir, now must ye learn to lie hard, that was wont to lie on feather beds of down. Now must your feet lie higher than your crown. Where you were wont to have caudles for your head, now must you munch mammocks and lumps of bread. And where you had changes of rich array, now lap you in a coverlet full fain that ye may. And where that ye were pomped with what ye would, now must ye suffer both hunger and cold. With courtly silks ye were wont to be draw, now must ye learn to lie on the straw. Your skin that was wrapped in shirts of wren, now must ye be storm-beaten with showers and rains. Your head that was wont to be happed most droopy and drowsy, Now shall ye be scabbed, scurvy, and lousy.
Vile this world full of treachery, that ever nobleness should lie thus wretchedly.
Sir, remember the turn of fortune's wheel, that wantonly can wink and winch with her heel. Now she will laugh, forthwith she will frown, suddenly set up and suddenly plucked down. She danceth variance with mutability, now all in wealth, forthwith in poverty. In her promise there is no sickerness. All her delight is set in doubleness.
Alas, of fortune I may well complain.
Nay, sir, yesterday will not be called again. But yet, sir, now in this case, take it meekly, and thank God of his grace. For now go I will beg for you some meat. It is folly against God for to plead. I will walk now with my beggar's rags, and wrap you the whiles with these homely rags. Ah, how my limbs be lither and lame. Better it is to beg than be hanged with shame. Yet many had liefer hanged be than for to beg their meat for charity. They think it no shame to rob and steal, yet were they better to beg a good deal. For by robbing they run in manus tuus quick, but begging is better medicine for the neck. Yea, marry is it. So mote I go. Oh, Lord God, how the gout wringeth me by the toe.
O feeble fortune, O doleful destiny, O hateful hap, O hateful cruelty, O sighing sorrow, O thoughtful misery, O reedless ruth, O painful poverty, O dolorous heart, O hard adversity, O odious distress, O deadly pain and woe, worldly shame, I wax both wan and blow. Where now is my wealth and my noble estate? Where now is my treasure, my lands, and my rent? Where now are my servants that I had here of late? Where now is my gold upon them that I spent? Where now all my rich habiliment? Where now my kin, my friends, and all my noble blood? Where now is all my pleasure and my worldly good? Alas, my folly! Alas, my wanton will! I may no more speak till I have wept my fill.
With, yea, marry, sirs, thus should it be. I kissed her sweet, and she kissed me. I danced the darling on my knee. I guard her grasp, I guard her glee, with dance on the lea, the lea. I bust that babe with a heart so free, she is the boost of all my bale. Ah, so that sigh was far-fetched. To love that lovesome I will not let. My heart is wholly on her set. I plucked her by the patlet, and my deviser with her met. My fancy fairly on her I set. So merrily singeth the nightingale. In lust and liking my name is Liberty. I am desired with highest and lowest degree. I give as me list, I leap out at large. Of earthly thing I have no care nor charge. I am president of princes, I prick them with pride. What, is he living that liberty would lack? £1,000 with liberty may hold no tack. At liberty, a man may be bold for to break. Wealth without liberty goeth to rack, all to rack. But yet, sirs, hardly one thing learn of me. I warn you, beware of too much liberty. For totum in toto is not worth an whore. Too hardy or too much, too free at the door. Too sober, too sad, too subtle, too wise, too merry, too mad, too giggling, too nice, too full of fancies, too lordly, too proud, too homely, too holy, too lewd and too loud, too flattering, too smattering, too wet of heart, too clattering, too chattering, too short and too far, too jetting, too jagging, and too full of japes, too mocking, too mowing, too like a jackanapes. Thus totum in toto groweth up, as ye may see, by means of madness and too much liberty. For I am a virtue, if I be well used, and I am a vice where I am abused.
Ah, woe worth thee, liberty! Now thou sayest full true, that I use thee too much, sore may I rue.
What a very vengeance, I say, who is that? What brothel, I say, is yonder bound in a mat?
I am Magnificence, that sometime thy master was.
What? Is the world thus come to pass? Cock's arms, sirs, will you not see how he is undone by means of me? For if measure had ruled liberty as he began, this hardened that he lieth had been a noble man. But he abused so his free liberty that now he hath lost all his felicity. Nor through largesse of liberal expense, but by the ways of fancy insolence. For liberality is the most convenient a prince to use with all his whole intent, largely rewarding them that hath deserved, and so shall a nobleman nobly be served. But nowadays as hucksters they huck and they stick, and pinch at the payment of a pudding prick. A laudable largesse, I tell you, for a lord to prate for the patching of a potsherd. Spare for the spence of a noble that his honour might save, and spend 100 shillings for the pleasure of a knave. But so long they reckon with their reasons amiss, they lose their liberty, and all that there is.
Alas, that ever I occupied such abusion.
Yea, for now it hath brought thee to confusion, for when I am occupied and used wilfully, it cannot continue long prosperously. As evidently in reckless youth you may see how many come to mischief for too much liberty. And some in the world, their brain is so idle that they set their children to run on the bridle. In youth to be wanted and let them have their will, and they never thrive in their age, it shall not greatly skill. Some fools of folly themselves for to spill, and some fool preaching of Tower Hill. Some had so much liberty of one thing and another that neither they set by father and mother. Some have so much liberty that they fear no sin, till as ye see in many times they shame all their kin. I am so lusty to look on, so fresh and so free, that none will leave their holiness and run after me. Friars with folly I make them so fain, that they cast up their obedience to catch me again. I had liberty to wander and walk over all, that lustily they leap, some time they're close to all. Yonder is a horse, and for me doth retreat. Adieu, sirs, writing lest that I come too late.
Oh, good Lord, how long shall I endure this misery, this careful wretchedness of worldly wealth? Alas, who can be sure? In fortune's friendship there is no steadfastness. She hath deceived me with her doubleness. For to be wise, all men may learn of me in wealth, to beware of hard adversity.
For laughter, I'm like to brass.
For sport I am like to spew and cast.
What hast thou got it in faith to thy share?
In faith of his coffers the bottoms are bare.
As for his plate of silver and such trash, I warrant you, I've given it a lash.
What then, he may drink out of a stone cruse?
With, yea, sir, by Jesus, that slain was with Jews. He may rinse a pitcher, for his plate is to wed.
In faith that he may dream on a dagswain for any feather bed.
By my troth, we have rifled him meetly well.
Yea, but thank me thereof every dell.
Thank thee thereof in the devil's date.
Leave thy prating, or else I shall lay thee on thy pate.
Nay, to wrangle, I warrant thee it is but a stone cast.
By the mass I shall cleave thy head unto the waist.
Yea, wilt thou cleanly cleave me in the cleft with thy nose?
I shall thrust in thee my dagger.
Through the leg into the hose?
Nay, whoreson, here is my glove. Take it up, an thou dare.
Turd, thou art good to be a man of war.
I shall scalp thee on the scalp, lo, seest thou that?
What, wilt thou scalp me? Thou darest not look on a gnat.
My cock's bones, I shall bless thee, and thou be too bold.
Nay, then thou wilt ding the devil, and thou be not old.
But wottest thou, whoreson, I read thee to be wise.
No, I read thee, beware, I have warned thee twice.
Why, weenest thou that I forbear thee for thine own sake?
Peace, or I shall wring thy bee in a break.
Hold thy hand, Daw, off thy dagger, and stint of thy din. or I shall falchion thy flesh and scrape thee on the skin.
Yeah, will thou, hangman? I say, thou cavil.
Nay, thou rude ravener, rain-beaten javel.
What, thou calling coward, known and tried?
Nay, thou false-hearted dastard, thou dare not abide.
And there were none to displease but thou and I. Thou shouldst not scape, whoreson, but thou shouldst die.
Nay, I shall ring thee, whoreson, on the wrist.
Marry, I defy thy best and thy worst.
What, if any vengeance need all these words? Go together by the heads and give me your swords.
So he is the worst brawler that ever was born.
If faith so to suffer thee is but a scorn.
Now let us all be one, and let us live and rest, for we be, sirs, but a few of the best.
By the mass, man, thou shalt find me reasonable.
In faith, and I will be to reason agreeable.
Then I trust to God and the Holy Rood, how there shall be no great shedding of blood.
Oh, by our lakin, sir, not by my will.
By the faith I owe to God, and I will sit still.
Well said, but in faith, was your quarrel?
Marry, sir, this gentleman called me a javel.
Nay, by St. Mary, it was ye called me knave.
Marry, so ungodly language you me gave.
I shall have more of these matters yet, methinking ye are not greatly encumbered with wit.
God's foot, I warrant you, I'm a gentleman born. And thus to be faced, I think it great scorn.
Oh, I cannot well tell of your dispositions, and ye be a gentleman, ye have knavish conditions.
By God, I tell you, I will not be outfaced.
By the mass, I warrant thee, I will not be braced.
Tush, tush, it is a great default that one of you is so too proud, the other is too hot. Tell me briefly whereupon you began.
Marry, sir, he said that he was the prettier man than I was in opening of locks, and I tell you, I disdain much of his mocks.
Thou never saw yet, but I did my part, the lock of a casket to make it to start.
Nay, I know well enough ye are both well handed to grope and guardaments, though it be well banded.
I am the better yet in a budget.
And I the better in a mail.
Oh, tush these matters that ye move up at sops in ale. Well, trimming and tramming, but me must be tanged, for had I not been, ye both had been hanged, when we with Magnificence goods made traversance.
And therefore our Lord send you a very vengeance.
What beggar art thou that thus dost ban and worry?
Ye be the thieves, I say, away my goods did carry.
Ox bones, thou beggar. What is thy name?
Magnificence I was, him ye have brought to shame.
Yea, but trow you, sirs, that this is he.
Go we near and let us see.
By cock's bones, it is the same.
Alas, alas, sirs, ye are to blame. I was your master, though you think it scorn, and now on me ye gar and spurn.
Lie still now with ill hail.
Yea, for thy language cannot thee avail.
Abide, sir, abide. I shall make him to piss.
Now give me somewhat, for God's sake, I crave.
In faith, I give thee 4/4 of a knave.
And nay, in faith, I bequeath him the toothache.
And I bequeath him the bone ache.
And I bequeath him the gout and the gin.
And I bequeath him sorrow for his sin.
And I give him Christ's curse with not a penny in his purse.
And I give him the cough, the myrrh, and the pose.
Yea, for requiem aeternum groweth forth of his nose. But now, let us make merry and good cheer.
And to a tavern brought here.
And from thence to the Half Street, to get us there some fresh meat.
Why, is there any store of raw mutton?
Yea, in faith, for us thou art too great a glutton.
But they say it is a queasy meat, will strike a man mischievously in a heat.
And faith, man, some ribs of the mutton be so rank that they will fire one ungraciously in the flank.
Yea, when you come out of the shop, you shall be clapped with a collop that will make you to halt and to hop.
Some be rested there that they think on it 40 days, but there be whores there at all assays.
For the passion of God, let us go thither.
Alas, mine own servants to show me such reproach, thus to rebuke me and have me in despite, so shamefully to me, their master, to approach that sometime was a noble prince of might. Alas, to live longer I have no delight. For to live in misery it is harder than death. I am weary of the world, for unkindness me slayeth.
Despair is my name. That adversity doth follow in time of distress, I am ready at hand. I make heavy hearts with even full hollow. Of fervent charity I quench out the brand. Faith and good hope I make aside to stand. In God's mercy I tell them is but folly to trust. And grace and pity I lay in the dust. What liest thou there? Lingering, lewdly, and loathsome. It is too late now thy sins to repent. Thou hast been so wayward, so wrangling, and so wrathsome, and so far art thou behind of thy rent, and so ungraciously thy days thou hast spent, thou art not worthy to look God in the face.
Nay, nay, man, I look never to have part of his grace, for I have so ungraciously my life misused. Though I ask mercy, I must needs be refused.
No, no, for thy sins be so exceeding far, so innumerable, and so full of despite. And against thy Maker thou hast made such war, that thou canst not have never mercy in his sight.
My wickedness, that I may white. But now I see well there is no better rede but sigh and sorrow, and wish myself dead.
Yea, rid thyself rather than this life to lead. The world waxes weary of thee, thou livest too long.
Lie, mischief, and come at need. Out of thy life thee for to lead, and look that it be not long, ere that thyself thou go hang with this halter good and strong, or else with this knife cut out a tongue, of thy throat boil, and rid thee out of pain. Thou art not the first himself hath slain. No, here is thy knife, and a halter, and ere we go further, spare not thyself, but boldly thee murder.
Yea, have done it once, without delay.
Shall I myself hang with an halter? Nay, nay, rather I will choose to rid me of this life in sticking myself with this fair knife.
Alarm, alarm! Too long we abide.
Out, Harrow, hell burneth, where shall I me hide?
Alas, dear son, sore cumbered is thy mind, thyself that thou wouldst slay against nature and kind.
Ah, blessed may ye be, sir. What shall I you call?
A good hope, sir, my name is. Remedy principal against all sautés of your ghostly foe. Who knoweth me, himself may never slow.
Alas, sir, so I am lapped in adversity that despair well nigh had mischieved me. For had ye not the sooner been my refuge of damnation, I had been drawn in the luge.
Undoubted ye had lost yourself eternally. There is no man may sin more mortally than of one hope through the unhappy ways by mischief to breviate and shorten his days. But my good son, learn from despair to flee, wind you from one hope, and acquaint you with me. A great misadventure thy Maker to displease, thyself mischieving to thine endless disease. There was never so hard a storm of misery, but through good hope there may come remedy.
Your words be more sweeter than any precious nard. They mollify so easily my heart that was so hard. There is no balm, no gum of Araby more delectable than your language to me.
Sir, your physician is the grace of God. that you hath punished with his sharp rod. Good hope your apothecary assigned am I, that God's grace hath vexed you so sharply, and pained you with a purgation of odious poverty, mixed with bitter aloes of hard adversity. Now must I make you an electuary soft, I to minister it, you to receive it oft, with rhubarb of repentance in you for to rest. With drams of devotion your diet must be dressed, with gums ghostly of glad heart and mind, to thank God of his sonde, and comfort ye shall find. Put from you presumption, and admit humility, and heartily thank God of your adversity, and love that Lord that for your love was dead, wounded from the foot to the crown of the head. For who loveth God can ail nothing but good. He may help you, he may mend your mood. Prosperity to him is given solaciously to man, adversity by him therewith now and then, health of body his business to achieve, disease and sickness his conscience to disgrieve, affliction and trouble to prove his patience, contradiction to prove his sapience, grace of assistance his measure to declare, sometime to fall, another time to beware. And now ye have had, sir, a wondrous fall, to learn you hereafter for to beware withal. How say you, sir? Can ye these words grope?
Yea, sir. Now am I armed with good hope, and sore I repent me of my wilfulness. I ask God mercy of my negligence. Under good hope enduring ever still, me humbly committing unto God's will.
Then shall you be soon delivered from distress. For now I see coming to you word redress. So
Christ be upon you and the Holy Ghost.
He be your comfort, the Lord of mights most.
Sir, is your patient anything amended?
Yea, sir, he is sorry for that he hath offended.
How feel you yourself, my friend? How is your mind?
A wretched man, sir, to my Maker unkind.
Yea, but have ye repented with heart contrite?
Sir, the repentance I have no man can write.
And have ye banished from you all despair?
Yea, wholly to good hope I have made my repair.
Questionless he doth me assure, in good hope alway for to endure.
Then stand up, sir, in God's name, and I trust to ratify and amend your fame. Good hope, I pray you, sir, with hearty affection, to send me over to me sad circumspection.
Sir, your request shall not be delayed.
Now, surely, Magnificence, I am right well apaid of that I see you now in the state of grace. Now shall ye be renewed with solace. Take now upon you this habiliment, and that to that I say give good advertisement.
To your request I shall be conformable.
First, I say, with mind firm and stable, determine to amend all your wanton excess, and be ruled by me, which am called Redress. Redress my name is, that little am I used, as the word requireth, but rather I am refused. Redress should be at the reckoning in every account, and specially to redress that were out of joint. For many things there be that lacketh redress, the which were too long now to express. But redress is redress, and may do no correction. Now welcome, forsooth, sad circumspection.
After your marriage I hide me hither straight, for to understand your pleasure, and also your mind.
Sir, to account you the continue of my conceit is from adversity magnificence to unbind.
How fortuned you, Magnificence, so far to fall behind?
Sir, the long absence of you, sad circumspection, caused me of adversity to fall in subjection.
All that he saith of truth doth proceed, for where sad circumspection is long out of the way, of adversity it is to stand in dread.
Without fail, sir, that is no nay. Circumspection in hateth or running astray. But, sir, by me to rule first ye begin.
My wilfulness, sir, excuse I nay can.
Then of folly in times past you repent?
Soothly to repent me, I have great cause. Howbeit from you I received a letter which contained in it a special clause that I should use largesse.
Nay, sir, there a pause.
Yea, let us see this matter thoroughly engrossed.
Sir, this letter you sent to me at Pontoise was enclosed.
Who brought you that letter? Won't ye what he hight?
But largesse, sir, by his credence was his name.
This letter ye speak of never did I write.
To give so hasty credence, ye were much to blame.
Truth it is, sir, for after he wrought me much shame and caused me also to use too much liberty, and made also measure to be put from me.
Then wealth with you might in no wise abide.
Aha, fancy and folly met with you, I trow.
It would be found so if it were well tried.
Surely my wealth with them was overthrow.
Remember you, therefore, how late ye were low.
Yea, and beware of unhappy abusion.
And keep you from counterfeiting of cloaked conclusion.
Sir, in good hope I am to amend.
Use not then your countenance for to counterfeit.
And from crafters and hafters I you forfend.
Well, sir, after your counsel my mind I will set.
What, brother perseverance? Surely well met.
Ye come hither as well as can be thought.
I heard say that adversity is magnificence and fault.
Yea, sir, with adversity I have been vexed, but good hope and redress hath mended mine estate, and sad circumspection to me they have annexed.
What this man have said, perceive ye his sentence?
Yea, sir, from him my courage shall never flit.
According to truth they be well devised.
Sirs, I am agreed to abide your ordinance, faithful assurance with good peradvertence.
If ye be so minded, we be right glad, and ye shall have more worship than ever ye had.
Well, I perceive in you there is much sadness, gravity of counsel, providence, and wit. Your comfortable advice and wit exceedeth all gladness. But friendly, I will refrain you further ere we flit. Whereto were most meetly my courage to knit? Your minds, I beseech you, herein to express, commencing this process at Master Redress.
Saith unto me foremost this process is erected. Herein I will have forced me to show you my mind. First from your magnificence sin must be ejected. In all works more grace shall ye find. Be gentle then of courage, and learn to be kind. For of nobleness the chief point is to be liberal, so that your largesse may not be too prodigal.
Liberty to a lord belongeth of right, but wilful waywardness must walk out of the way. Measure of your lusts must have the oversight, and not all the niggard, nor the clinched to play. Let never niggardship your nobleness affray. In your rewards use such moderation, that nothing be given without consideration.
To the increase of your honour, then arm you with right, and famously address you with magnanimity, and never let the dread of God be in your sight, and know yourself mortal for all your dignity. Set not all your affiance in fortune full of guile, but remember this life hasteth but a while.
Redress, in my remembrance your lesson shall rest, and sad circumspection I mark in my mind. But perseverance meseemeth your problem was best. I shall it never forget, nor leave it behind. But wholly to perseverance myself I will bind, of that I have misdone to make a redress, and with sad circumspection correct my wantonness.
onto this process briefly compiled, comprehending the world casual and transitory, who list to consider shall never be beguiled if it be registered well in memory. A plain example of worldly vainglory, how in this world there is no sickness, but fallible flattery mixed with bitterness. Now well, now woe, now high, now low degree. We're now rich, now poor, now whole, now in disease, now pleasure at large, now in captivity, now lief, now loathe, now please, now displease, now ebb, now flow, now increase, now decrease. So in this world there is no sickness, but fallible flattery mixed with bitterness.
A mirror encircled is this interlude, this life inconstant to be as old and sea, suddenly advanced and suddenly subdued, suddenly riches, suddenly poverty, suddenly comfort, suddenly adversity. Suddenly thus fortune can both smile and frown, suddenly set up and suddenly cast down, suddenly promoted and suddenly put back, suddenly cherished, suddenly cast aside, suddenly commended and suddenly find a lack, suddenly granted and suddenly denied, suddenly hid and suddenly espied. Suddenly thus fortune can both smile and frown, suddenly set up and suddenly cast down.
This treatise devised to make you disport showeth nowadays how the world encumbered is. To the pith of the matter who list to resort, today it is well, tomorrow it is all amiss. Today in delight, tomorrow bed of bliss. Today a lord, tomorrow to lie in the dust. To us in the world there is no earthly trust. Today fair weather, tomorrow a stormy rage. Today hot, tomorrow outrageous cold. Today a yeoman, tomorrow made a page. Today in surety, tomorrow bought and sold. Today master fast, tomorrow he hath no hold. Today a man, tomorrow he lieth in the dust. Thus in this world there is no earthly trust.
This matter we have moved you mirthful to make, pressly purposed under pretence of play, showeth wisdom to them that wisdom can take. How suddenly worldly wealth doth decay, how wisdom through wantonness vanisheth away, how none estate living of himself can be sure, for the wealth of this world cannot endure. Of the terrestrial wretchery we fall in the flood, beaten with storms of many a froward blast, ensorted with the waves, savage and wood. Without our ship, be sure it is likely to brast, yet of magnificence oft made is the mast. Thus none estate living of him can be sure, for the wealth of this world cannot endure.
Now seemeth us sitting then that ye then resort home to your palace with joy and royalty.
Everything is ordained after your noble port.
There to endure with all felicity.
I am content, my friends, that it so be.
And ye that have heard this disport and game, Jesus preserve you from endless woe and shame.
Amen.
Enter Trousers. No, hi, hello. Well, that was the end of our play, or that play specifically. I mean, this is usually how most interludes end. Except I think it ended quite a lot better for Magnificence compared to other interludes. They don't usually like usually the main character will recognize sort of they've done something wrong and then they have a chance to make it right.
The only thing I can see that I'm used to seeing is there was normally, or quite often, there was a prayer to the king, for the king or the queen at the time. You know, God send Queen Elizabeth many long and many happy days. As usually, I've never seen anything, but no, I liked it. I'm going to disappear, so thank you guys. Really enjoyed that.
Always feel better.
Us too. Thanks, Greg.
I think Alan has something to say, and then
I mean, I think the reason why there's no prayer, this is a pre-Reformation piece, so it would probably not have been considered appropriate before the point at which Henry had made himself the head of the church.
What happened here?
Lois, you had something to say.
Well, yeah, I was going to make that point that I'm pretty sure that prayers for the king and queen happen after the Reformation rather than ran before. And yeah, I think it's got to do with the feeling that they are now the top of I mean, instead of just addressing Christ or praying that the audience will go well, they also stick in the prayer for the king on whom it all depends, or the queen.
Yeah, I guess.
Plug this thing in because the battery is running down.
That would be bad.
Yes.
Well, I mean, in mid-session, in mid-speech.
Yes, quite. Yeah.
I've been wondering about this whole thing about like giving people like 4/4 of a knave or 3/4 of a knave or whatever. I'm like, how do you like? Is that a boxing term? Is that the thing? No, it's just I made some notes and now I don't know why what they actually mean.
I think it's language from heraldry. I mean, I hadn't thought of it before, but they do talk about, the shield being divided into quarters. And I think, there can even be the number of quarters of nobility you've got or a certain rank. I'm not sure, but I think that's part of it because there are so many of these jokes about what, you're a fool, you're pretty much a scholar in folly, or, you've got a doctorate in stupidity, and
Yeah.
I think it's the same sort of thing. You've got all this high rank of viciousness.
I do like how in the second half, like when you start getting the sort of fall or descent in this, you don't get this sort of being beaten over the head with sort of verse, or I mean like verses in like biblical verse, or something like that. You get this kind of quite pretty language as well. It's not like despair made me think of like this is my turn. False. No, bad time, bad moments to confess. Anyway, Alan.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that was very noticeable in the second half is an awful lot of the longer speeches ended up with riffs which had got very, very similar lines falling one upon another, which be an absolute pain to have to learn to get it right. Because added to that, you've got his love of alliteration. And some real tongue twisters in there as well. I mean, I was on point of sending out for a new set of dentures.
Yeah, the whole thing about I can't remember what line it was, but it's like, you have shall I give you a clip and have me cleft in or whatever.
Yeah.
I can't remember the line, but there were a lot of C's in it and cool sounds. Any other thoughts about this part or the whole play, since we've read the whole play? Aside from it was fun. It was fun, wasn't it? I mean, I feel like it was fun. Lynn has thoughts, but he's also muted, I think.
Yeah, I looking just briefly at it yesterday, I thought, oh, the second half's gonna be not as fun as the first half, where you have all the the 200s and the 300s and all that sort of brisk repartee. And there was some fun stuff where the vices and their sort of patter songs and rap battles of the medieval stage. But yeah, this genre of play always gets a little tedious there at the end, where, oh, I'm so sorry, I'll be better now, and so it's always a little bit of an anticlimax at the end.
It's a little bit. Aliki, you want to counter that, I think.
Yeah, I think I had very much the opposite experience with this play, partly because I found what happened in the second half of this one a lot more comprehensible. I got a lot more of the jokes. I got maybe I missed 25%, whereas I felt like I was missing a good 70% of what was going on in the first part. And also, there's exactly the thing that Alan almost complained of, but didn't quite. That verbal playfulness, all of the alliteration, all of that kind of literary fun that was being had alleviated the moralizing for me.
Yeah, there was also that bit with the whole where the vices were fighting with each other. And one part of, I think one of them was basically copying the words of the other, but then twisting them. So like, I think it was Collusion, who said something like, be on your way or something, or I'll set you on your way. And then, not Countenance. I made a list anyway. The other character, Conveyance. There we go. Conveyance answered with like, "Oh yes, beware." And it's like sort of the play on words kept going and going and going, and you were like, "Okay, does this end?" It does.
Yeah.
Lois.
Yeah, and I think it's probably meant to be two guys that don't really want to fight because, of course, like all these vices, they're cowards, but doing this big thing of, I'm about to murder you. Oh, yeah, I'm about to kill you. I'll do it better than you will. I'll really kill you, until finally someone comes in and calms them down very quickly. Oh, yeah, that's fine. Let's not quarrel,
Yeah, it's kind of like, you can't really have the two leeches fight, killing each other if they want to feast on, or on a host body kind of thing, or parasites, or I don't know, that was a bad analogy. Anyway, it's an allegory within an allegory within an allegory.
Yeah. Yeah. And it does all hang together quite well. I mean, it all seems to have to do with lack of measure, that, the play is not saying that Magnificence ought to give up all his wealth and go and live in a cave. It's just saying you've got all this wealth, use it properly, reward people who deserve it, don't reward people who don't, and so on. And then because he does the opposite, he finds himself with no wealth, and then everybody despises him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did look up a bit about this. The editor of the a volume edited by Greg Walker called Medieval Drama, an anthology, thinks that this refers to a fairly specific moment in Henry VIII's reign, when apparently he did have a number of favorites who were temporarily banished from court. I think he said it was in 1519, and that this is probably getting at them. Because certainly that bit where Cloaked Collusion says, just give all your money to maybe 3 people and, let everybody else starve. That seems to be a kind of version of that.
Well, yeah, and there are other favorites in other plays, like the Troublesome Reign and all that stuff, where like things go horribly wrong if you have favorites, especially if your council does not like them. Go see the relevant YouTube video on that. Aliki.
Yeah, and also, I like this idea that it's about a specific part in Henry's reign, because Magnificence is he's never really mean, even when he's at his worst. He's angry at his fate, but that's about it. He doesn't get, kind of really horrible the way some of these people get, really vicious in himself. Like they're afraid to criticize him too much. And the point is, it's okay. He took a wrong turn because he had bad friends, but everything is good now.
Lois.
Yeah, one thing that's rather interesting is that although Magnificence does say at one point, I'd like to go off to the tavern and find some nice woman, and he's sort of encouraged in this, we don't actually see this. This is something that normally comes up in pretty well every morality play. Yeah. And I think the reason it doesn't is that Skelton knew plenty about Henry VIII and didn't want to make this too close to reality.
Yeah, and that's like, don't want to be murdered. That would be good. And also I'm also guessing that they were kind of based on like, if we had like doubling schemes, I'm assuming there was a doubling scheme for this. It would have been hard to maintain if you had another actor playing the equivalent of lust or lechery or whatever. Although it might have been easier, I don't know. Structural reasons are interesting.
Well, it's interesting there are no women in the play. So none of the men are being asked to play women, which they certainly could have done in other moralities.
Yeah, true. And and always like lust and lechery are always portrayed by women, which of course is totally not,
because of course men would never be lustful if it weren't for women.
Oh yes, of course.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts about that? I don't know, I enjoyed that because like it was kind of tedious in terms of like, yes, this is getting preachy, pun not intended, but the language was quite nice, aside from I am forthwith as whole as a trout, which made more sense, but I love that line. And the whole mutton imagery, which was kind of which Lois explained in the chat, was very rude upon.
all that about fresh mutton. Yes, I mean, the vices are certainly planning to head for the nearest brothel, and fresh mutton presumably means, either virgins or at any rate, new prostitutes who may not be riddled with disease yet.
Yay. And yeah, no, I was interested in like
They will be after
and...
those three have been at them.
Yeah, right.
Definitely. I was also interested in like Despair and Mischief, who don't get like full speech introductions and stuff. They do. I mean, Despair, Mischief, and Adversity are not quite vice characters. I don't know.
No, they're not vices at all. I think they represent sort of realities. Well, Mischief does, perhaps Mischief, I think, is like Mischief in Mankind, and he just wants, the worst for everybody, or wants to cause trouble. But the other people, I think, are abstractions of just what happens.
Yeah, and want to. Well, also Adversity is like, yes, I will slay everyone, just in different ways.
Yeah.
Alan and then Lynn.
Yeah, I must admit, I thought Adversity really is divine vengeance. So he's on the side of the angels, just chooses somewhat heavy-handed methods to go with it.
Yeah, like the goth angel who never came out till after he was grown up and left home. Anyway,
back to the idea of abstractions or vice. I mean, I think Despair is in a way the ultimate vice, because he encourages Magnificence to slay himself, which is the ultimate unforgivable sin. So vices are always trying to get our mankind character to do the wrong thing, and that is like the wrong thing, the wrongest thing. So it's got that in common with vices.
Yeah, but it's also, I felt like Despair was actually quite well written in terms of like, it does sound like those speeches did sound a bit like the internal voice of like, everybody hates you. You might as well kill yourself. Please don't, viewer. Please don't, or listener. I don't know. It would be a bad idea. Yeah, we do not endorse that. But yes, it's an interesting way that it was written, as opposed to all the other characters who were very sort of. Well, I mean, I guess they were having fun in their own way and stuff, and very human. Lois.
Yeah, what Despair says to Mankind is pretty much what Mankind says to himself in the play called Mankind. I mean, and he says he just can't possibly expect to be forgiven, whereas that's what Despair tells Magnificence in this. I think writers seem to have been rather good with Despair, actually. I mean, one of the passages that everybody likes best, I think, in The Fairy Queen in book 1 is one where the hero meets Despair, who really, he goes to the idea he's going to kill this man, and he sees what looks like a harmless old man who starts talking with a silvery tongue, and eventually has him in a state of just total misery where he can't wait to kill himself, and it's all very poetic and soothing and lovely. He just gets kind of lulled into it. It's you're already kind of halfway to Burton's Anatomy of Melancholy with its talk about how you get led into it by starting out in just a kind of pleasantly melancholy state of mind, and then by the end you're a raving lunatic.
Yeah. Writers were really interested in Despair in this whole period. I think because it was such a serious problem. Despair is the ultimate. Giving up on God's willingness to save you was like, that's the unforgivable sin. How does it relate to just sort of sadness and I shall despair? That's like those are the most frightening words in the language at this point. So there was a lot of interest in despair in the literature.
It's the unforgivable sin, because by killing yourself you obviously take it out of your own power to repent, and the sin that isn't repented is damnable.
Since we're sharing thoughts, any final thoughts about this entire play? I mean, we started off with like Magnificence and Felicity. Also, Felicity disappeared, which is interesting. I just realized as I said that. Because obviously you can't dine with delight and then have poverty at the end. It doesn't really work. No space at the table.
I think Felicity is waiting for Magnificence back at the palace, which is where they're going. at the end. I mean, he'll be there, but and I guess Measure will be back there too, having been exiled pretty much.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's been, I mean, I feel like it started off with a romp, and then you can feel the change halfway through, where you get that sort of moment of, well, even before Fancy comes in to say, "You're ruined, you're ruined," or "We're ruined." He does. I like how Fancy doesn't include himself in all the thing. It's like, yes, this is your problem. This is a you problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Problem.
Yeah. And yeah, so you feel that shift with I think it's Collusion coming in at some point, trying to get all that sort of, well, basically steal responsibility from Measure and everyone else. Lois.
Yeah, there's something else I meant to mention, in fact, yesterday, because there are quite a few lines that indicate that Fancy is played by somebody very small, possibly a boy. I mean, it's suggested somewhere that it might have referred to a dwarf even, the court fool. And apparently he's supposed to be wearing, in fact, most of the vices are supposed to be wearing one costume on top of another. I mean, their real self underneath, and then the sort of disguise on top. And apparently Fancy is meant to be wearing a fool's garment, but underneath something else, whereas Folly comes in just dressed like a fool with a bauble and everything, the traditional fool's garb. So yeah, there's a really interesting kind of connection there. I mean, that I suppose Fancy is this funny intermediate stage. I mean, he's largely responsible for everything because he's the one that puts ideas into Magnificence's head. But on the other hand, he has all sorts of ideas. He's kind of amoral, I suppose.
Yeah, that makes sense. Any other thoughts for Lois to add to this? And I know you probably have more thoughts than the rest of us put together, so maybe it might be a good time to get started.
Well, the other thing I read about him was that is about Skelton. He had been Henry VIII's tutor when Henry was still a prince, and then when his brother died, I think. And he became heir to the throne, or maybe it was when he became king. They kind of said, "Well, thanks very much. Here's your pension. Goodbye." And I don't think he ever quite got over it. And the play sort of reflects part of what apparently was a kind of campaign on his part to get some sort of position at court, which he never quite did again. But this seems to be demonstrating, how he could give lots of good advice to rulers. He's obviously not aiming directly at Henry, but he's referring to things that went on in the court. I mean, Henry couldn't really identify himself, I think, with Magnificence, but probably if there'd been a lot more, dancing girls brought on, it might have become more obvious.
Yeah, probably. Alan, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I must admit, thought is much the same as yesterday. It works quite well as a piece. But I think the only potential audience would be people who are heavily into the Henrican period, for some of the reasons that Lois has alluded to in terms of the specifics of the various power relationships within the court at this very specific time. I'm not sure that it would do that well in terms of garnering a general audience.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people would just get possibly a little bored with it, because face it, I mean, it's 22,000 words. It's probably something like 3 hours running time if you stage it.
So like a musical, basically, except like not.
Yeah, but well, mentioning musically interesting, because there was at least one speech today that Greg did, which read very much as if that was a song lyric.
Yeah,
you could hear a tune behind it almost within the way it was phrased. And I suspect there could well have been a few other bits that could have potentially been sung that maybe didn't stand out quite as much.
Yeah,
but it would be a devil of a script to learn because of the loops that it goes in.
True.
And anybody foolish enough to try and do it with a Q script, God help.
Yes.
You say that. I won't suggest it. It'll be, yeah.
No, don't
Yeah,
go
have
there.
mercy on them. They're nice people.
I've got a sick note for the week you call a Q-script session.
So Lynn, any final thoughts since you played fancy getting up to all those shenanigans in the previous section with Folly as well?
Yeah, I wasn't really sure about how to play that moment because, like, evidently Fancy comes in sobbing. I can hardly talk because I'm crying so hard. And then it's like, oh, by the way, your problem, not my problem. Bye. It's like, where does that? I have no idea where that shift.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Yeah. I'm with Alan. I think this was probably an excellent example of this genre at the time. I mean, it feels like it would have been really rollicking and brisk and fun and medieval rap battles, but like so much of the language and the topical references have sort of slipped over the horizon. I really don't see it as having a lot of potential for 21st century performance. Sorry.
Yeah. And Aliki.
Well, I think it's just so much fun with its wordplay that it would be worth trying to do a musical, a heavily redacted version, perhaps, with lots of, slapstick hijinks. I think it'd be fun.
Yeah.
Lois.
Yeah, I mean, the ideal audience would be something like the Medieval Theatre Conference, or, some group of, there are quite a lot of academics who I think would be interested. I think it is mainly an academic audience, but I think, cut it quite heavily. I mean, everybody's got really long speeches, great costumes, plenty of music and dancing. I think it's got a lot of potential.
Well, also the skit that we had yesterday, in the previous session, with the coat was quite fun. All that all those shenanigans were fun. Like, I feel like you could take that out of it and just like use it to introduce people to interludes and or fun or sketches or like even physical comedy. As someone who does not know anything about physical comedy, it seems like a good idea. So. Any other thoughts, or should I wrap up?
Wrap up, I think.
Well, on that note, I should thank our wonderful readers for their wonderful reading. They drove me to learning like a dull ass.